Most 4-H clubs raise money to support their activities through the collection of dues or by the holding of specific fundraisers. Because 4-H is an educational nonprofit organization authorized through the USDA, several procedures must be followed when working with the club treasury. The key point to remember is the ability to show and prove proper accountability.
Each club maintaining funds, defined as more than $50 on hand, or having material assets, must have a checking account. Minimal treasury balances of less than $1,000 are preferred unless funds are being raised for an authorized major project or endowment. The maximum allowable 4-H treasury balance is the current year of expenses plus one additional year of expenses in dollars. Expenditures are to be authorized only by club members for club purposes. Never allow one person or clique to control the treasury, not even the 4-H club's organizational leader. While handling funds is added responsibility, the process is easily maintained as long as the appropriate steps are taken. Before obtaining a bank account, the club must apply for an employee identification number through the Internal Revenue Service. The EIN is assigned to each club and is not to be shared between clubs. The number is used in place of a Social Security number when opening a bank account. Each chartered 4-H club may establish one business checking account and one savings account upon the approval of your county extension personnel. A 4-H club checking account must have a minimum of 2 unrelated individuals to sign checks, 3 preferred. 2 of the account signers should be the youth treasurer and an appointed 4-H adult volunteer. Some banks may require written approval from a parent or guardian to accept the minor as a signer to assure full disclosure to the minor's guardians. The bank will likely perform a Know Your Customer or KYC check before accepting the minor as a signer, as this is a requirement of the Patriot Act. This may require that the minor provide the bank with their legal name, social security number, and one or more government-issued picture IDs. Each bank will perform a background check, and it is possible that a minor could be denied due to any negative results that arise from a KYC check. If the bank does not allow 4-H youth members to sign checks, there must be 2 unrelated appointed 4-H adult volunteers who sign. A signature card will be kept on file at the bank. If you are taking over from a previous treasurer, you will need to change the signature cards at the bank, review the treasurer's records from last year, and meet with the former treasurer to collect records and review procedures. Whenever you change, add, or delete a signer on the 4-H Club's bank account, you will be asked to provide additional documents. Most banks require a letter from the club's president and an appointed 4-H adult volunteer, along with a copy of the meeting minutes with a passed motion stating who is authorized to sign. No ATM or debit cards can be used to conduct 4-H club business. Checks only. Keep the carbon copies of checks for your records. You will need them when filling out your annual financial report. Once your club's account is open, report your account and the signers to your county office.
Mentioned earlier, the key point to remember is to have ability to show and prove proper accountability. Some ways to ensure you can do this include
First, have separation of duties. The person who collects funds and the person who writes the checks should not be the same. These responsibilities should be shared so that there is a clear separation of duties. In the same way, every check should require 2 signatures, the 4-H club treasurer and the adult volunteer. These 2 people should not be from the same family. The person who writes the check should not be the one who also reconciles the bank statement. Bank statements should be delivered unopened directly to the reconciler. This person may be the 4-H club leader or an adult leader in your club. Fill out the required annual year-end financial report. 4-H club funds belong to the club and not to the individuals in the club. These are public funds, and a treasurer's record must be open for inspection at any time by anyone. In addition, your 4-H club has tax-exempt status under the tax status of the Arizona 4-H Youth Foundation. To maintain your tax-exempt status and to be chartered as a 4-H club, you must annually file a year-end financial report of your club's finances with your county extension office. Your club will be listed on the Arizona 4-H Youth Foundation's annual 990 reports. You do not need to file a specific report with the IRS. Maintaining your tax-exempt status through these steps allows your club to accept donations from individuals, and those individuals can claim them as charitable donation contributions on their income tax filings as allowed by law. Being tax-exempt does not exempt your club from paying sales tax. Get proper approval for large-scale fundraisers. All fundraising activities must be reviewed and approved by your County Extension 4-H agent or County Extension Director before the event. To begin the review and approval process, complete and send the Request for 4-H Club Fundraising Program Approval application to your county office at least 2 weeks before the event. This form should be submitted for approval for any fundraiser that might potentially raise more than $100. You may hold the fundraiser only if you receive this approval. Within 10 business days after the event, you must submit a report indicating how much was raised. County approval is not required for fundraisers expected to make less than $100. Some counties have different limits on yearly fundraising, so please reach out to your county office to learn more. Have a financial review committee review your paperwork. The Finance Committee should consist of 2 or 3 people. The reviewers who conduct the financial record review cannot be the treasurer, an account signatory, or a parent or guardian of the treasurer or account signatory. The financial record review does not have to be a daunting process. The reviewers do not have to be certified CPAs or accountants. The reviewer's task is to check the treasurer's records to make sure that there are no inconsistencies in bank statements, cash, and checks are being recorded and deposited properly, and the balances are correct. The Financial Review Committee should look over the annual financial report before it is turned in to your county office. The 4-H fiscal year is from October 1st through September 30th. In September, your annual financial report will be due to your county office. This form can be found on the Arizona 4-H website. Print this form and familiarize yourself and your treasurer with it early on in the year. By keeping your financial ledger with this report in mind, you will find it much easier to transfer the necessary information onto the yearly report. By keeping all carbon copies of checks and receipts in your treasurer ledger, you will also have additional proof to turn in with your report, which is recommended to keep your club and yourself in good standing year to year. A 4-H club inventory report will need to be created or updated annually as well. You should turn it in with your annual report. 4-H club property is defined as all items purchased with 4-H funds, as well as all items donated to the 4-H club. You will list consumable items, such as food, tape, or paper plates, only if the items will last more than a year. If the club disbands, all non-consumable property must be returned to your county extension office within 10 business days of your club's final date of operation. If any property is disposed of during the current 4-H year, please include it in the inventory list and an explanation of why.
Keeping good treasure records and habits are also important to ensure a club's accountability.
Lock your money and receipts in a cash box. When you receive money from dues or a fundraising activity, you must always write a receipt for it, preferably pre-numbered with a carbon copy. The receipt should include the source of the funds, such as a car wash or bake sale, the date, and if possible, the name of the person making the payment. These receipts are backup documentation for any bank deposits made. The receipts should also become a permanent part of the club records. Writing a receipt takes a little time, but it helps protect your reputation. Without a receipt, there is no way to prove that your 4-H club received a specific amount of money or that you handled it correctly. If your 4-H club holds a fundraiser, such as a bake sale or car wash, you do not need to write a receipt for each person buying a cookie or having their car washed, unless they request it, but you do need to write one receipt at the end of each shift or at the end of the day. Each group of workers must account for the money they receive. 2 people other than you should count the money, agree on the amount, and turn the money over to you. It is a good idea for you to recount to verify the amount in the presence of the people giving you the money. Then give them a receipt for the amount they gave you. You should acknowledge both cash and non-cash donations in writing to the donor. Keep a copy of the acknowledgement or the receipt with your treasurer's records. Accept non-consumable donations such as equipment only if your club is prepared to accept the responsibilities of ownership, including care, maintenance, and insurance. Before accepting donations of equipment or other non-cash gifts greater than $1,000, your club's leadership will need to meet with your local 4-H agent to discuss the decision. The 4-H extension agent should be contacted whenever the club has questions about the appropriate action concerning accepting and managing any donation. Before you deposit a check made out to the club, an account signer must sign or endorse the back of it. If someone writes a check payable to you personally that is intended for your 4-H club, endorse it by writing, "Pay to the order of," and then your club's name, and sign it. Deposit all funds promptly. If your club receives more than $10 at any time, deposit the money within 3 days. The best practice is to deposit daily, or the next day the bank is open. Keep the carbon copies or receipts of deposits at the bank for your records, attaching them to the receipt of that event to ensure the amounts match up. As a club, account payments should be made only in the response to a formal written bill or invoice. Make sure that the bills you receive and pay are legitimate expenses that your club has incurred as part of their 4-H club's work. Your club should have an annual projected budget that shows what the club intends to spend money on that year, as well as showing expected income. If the bill does not fit into what appears in the budget or is for a large sum of money, make sure to check with the other leaders and treasurer before paying the bill. The club should vote to approve expenses not included in the annual projected budget. If the expense was included in the budget, you are authorized to pay what was planned or less. If the expense is not in the budget at all or more than what you budgeted for, you will have to receive approval from the youth members of your 4-H club at the next meeting before you can pay the expense. Check request forms and payable voucher forms are documents that record your 4-H club's approval to pay a bill. A check request is used by others to submit to the treasurer to request payment. A payment voucher is an internal document used by the treasurer to organize the necessary documentation and approvals before paying. It acts as a cover page to attach to the documentation. Prepare one of these forms before paying any bill. The approval form must be signed by someone other than the person signing the check. After the members approve paying a bill, write a check for the approved amount of the bill. Document what you paid on the receipt or bill you are paying. Make sure the attached check request or voucher request form shows the check number, the reason you paid the bill, who you paid, how much you paid, and the date you paid. Finally, write or stamp "paid" on the receipt or bill.
Keep the receipts and bills you pay separated by month. You will need them when you reconcile your accounts at the end of the month. You can also use an accordion file as a treasurer's book to help with this task. Keeping all these documents organized will help you fill out your annual report, and you have all of the documentation needed to turn in if audited. While handling funds is an added responsibility, it is also an important life skill. Demonstrating how to do this properly and including your members in the process is important to our mission as 4-H volunteers.